So now you know what the recital trap is, and maybe you saw yourself in it, not because you're doing anything wrong, but because nobody handed you the roadmap for when you open the doors to your studio. In this video, I want to get specific, because the thing that breaks the cycle isn't motivation. You've got that. It isn't hustle. You've got plenty of that too. What breaks the cycle is understanding which of the 3 very specific problems your studio has right now and why nothing you've tried so far has fully fixed it. Let's start there with the nothing has worked part, because I want to reframe that completely. When I talk to studio owners who say, I've tried marketing and it didn't work, I always ask the same follow-up question. What did you try? And the answers are almost always the same. Google ads, a Yelp listing, a directory service, a social media scheduling tool, an AI ad platform. I just go out and post bulletin boards, try to post in Facebook groups. Maybe someone has built them a Facebook ad once and it ran for a few weeks. And here's what I want you to hear. It's none of those things are the wrong approach. Every single one of them is a real component of a working enrollment system. The problem isn't that that specific thing failed, it's that each one was being treated as if it was the entire system to begin with. An ad that runs for 2 weeks and never gets updated, that's one piece unmanaged. A directory listing with no follow-up process for the leads it generates, that's a piece disconnected. A tool that nobody has time to log into, that's something just sitting idle. One piece of a 9-part system left on its own doesn't produce results. It produces the illusion of trying. And the conclusion that most studio owners are drawing is that marketing just doesn't work for me. But the real verdict is that an incomplete system without someone actively running it doesn't work for anyone. If you don't work the system doesn't work, period. And if you're teaching classes, managing staff, handling parents, running recitals, you can't continue to add more time that you don't have available. You need to start building a complete system that has all 9 components, not just 1 or 2, and it runs in the background while you're doing everything else. So leads are still coming in, follow-ups are still happening, enrollment is still moving without you having to stop what you're doing to make it go. So what does a complete system actually solve? After 5 years of working exclusively with dance studios, we found that there are only 3 pieces where enrollment breaks down, and every studio we talk to is struggling with at least one of them. Problem number 1, not enough leads coming in. This is a lead generation gap. Parents just simply don't know you exist. There's no consistent way for families to discover your studio every single month. And so a dance studio with a lead generation gap is entirely dependent on retention to hold its numbers. And retention alone isn't going to grow a business. One family might move, a kid decides they want to try a different sport, suddenly you're feeling behind because there's no new interest coming in. You need to be able to replace those that are leaving. And so the floor keeps shifting underneath your feet and you're not getting ahead of it. Problem number 2 is that leads aren't converting. This is the gap in the conversion. Parents might be reaching out, but they're not enrolling or showing up to the studio. This is where usually responses are too slow, there's no clear next step, nothing that bridges their interest into action before they move on with their lives. And here's what this caught. Research consistently shows that the first business to respond wins. And if that response takes longer than a few hours, most parents have already moved on. That's not a parent who said no, that's a parent who never got the chance to say yes. A student worth months of tuition is gone, not because they didn't want what you offered, but because the path wasn't clear enough and the responses weren't fast enough. And that's happening every single week until you resolve and have a system like this in your dance studio. So you're compounding the loss over time. Problem number 3 is things are just falling through the cracks. This is the visibility gap. You might be getting some leads, converting some of them, but it still feels chaotic. A parent messaged 2 weeks ago and never got a follow-up. The family that came in for a trial and nobody checked in with them afterwards. Someone who showed interest in the spring, you meant to reach out before fall registration opened and just didn't. This is the silent killer, because while you can be doing the first 2 things incredibly well, you're still going to be hemorrhaging growth because you can't fix the leak you can't see. Without visibility where every lead is in the process, you're guessing, and that guessing is costing you enrollments. Each of these problems breaks down into 3 specific components, which is 9 in total. And when we do an enrollment health check for a studio owner, most of them find that they have reds in at least 3 of those 9 areas. So right now, just give yourself a high-level score on each of the problems. Green for if it's working consistently, yellow if it's a hit or a miss, red if you feel like it's missing or broken. The reds are going to highlight your roadmap of what you need to focus on first. Now, the other thing I hear constantly is, I'm not big enough yet. I'll invest in marketing once things are more stable. And I understand the instinct. When cash is tight, a new monthly commitment feels like a risk. I want to show you a different way to look at the numbers, because the way that most studio owners are running this equation is actually working against them. Think about a snowball at the top of the hill. When you first push it, it's small, just a little snowball. But as it rolls and it picks up more speed, and the further it goes, the faster it's growing and it's getting bigger and bigger. Not because you're pushing it harder, but because what's already already there is starting to do the work. That's what consistent monthly enrollment does to a studio's revenue. Let's run a simple version. Say you bring in 5 new students in January. Each one pays $100 a month. That's $500 in monthly recurring revenue. In February, you bring in 5 more. Now you have 10 paying dance students. That's $1,000 a month. Then in March, another 5 enroll. Now you have $1,500 a month of new revenue. If you keep going, by August, just 8 months of getting 5 new students a month, you've added 40 students, and if they've stayed, that's $4,000 a month in new recurring revenue that wasn't there in January. Not a one-time payment, not a spike in enrollments, $4,000 every single month, and it's stacking and carrying forward into the next year. Now, compare that to the studio that scrambles. No consistent marketing during the year, so they lose ground over the slow months. Come September, they push hard again, they sign up 40 new students, but then they lost 20 over the summer, so they're really only up 20. And then the slow season comes again and the cycle resets. Both studios added 40 students over the year, but one is generating $4,000 a month in new revenue that's compounding forward, while the other is starting over every season. Consistency compounds, scrambling simply doesn't. And here's what the compounding looks like inside the studio of itself over time. Not just in revenue, but in the actual shape of your business. Your 3-year-old dancers are becoming 5-year-olds. Your recreational students feed your competition team. Your competition team grows because the pipeline beneath it is full. Families are seeing the future for their child. They can picture their child there for years. You have enough students at every level that one family leaving doesn't shake the floor. You have the enrollment to hire another teacher. You take a step back from the class you've been covering out of necessity, and you start working in your zone of genius instead of filling in the gaps of others. This is not a fantasy. That's what 5 consistent enrollments a month can compound and lead to over time. 5 new students a month, not 50, 5. That seems achievable. In part 3, I'm going to show you what a full year of this actually looks like, mapped out season by season, so you can see exactly when the pieces go in and what the studio looks like on the other side. And I'm going to show you what it means to have this running without you and having to be the one that's keeping it alive. That's where the cycle finally breaks, and I'll see you in the next video.